The ultimate in sports destinations plays host to the ultimate in youth volleyball talent with teams from around the country and around the world. Today, these AAU stars hope to dig deep, proving to themselves and their clubs what it takes to be champions. Welcome to the 44th Girls Junior National Volleyball Championships. Welcome inside the HP Fieldhouse, where it is buzzing on a Sunday afternoon here at the ESPN Wide World of Sports. The AAU Junior National Volleyball Championships roll on as we get set for the 13 Open Final. Rocks Red takes on GEVA Fonseca in the 13-year-old competition. You look and see how Rocks Red got here. Couple household names they take down in Milwaukee and A6 in the quarterfinal. As for GEVA on the other side, A6 out of Indiana. That is a stacked team year in and year out. Also A5 Mizuno going down to set up this championship. As we welcome you inside our state-of-the-art studio here at the ESPN Wide World of Sports, Drew Felios alongside the former UCF star Aaron Campbell. What a championship it was in the 12 Open with Vaquetas taking it. And now we have that same type of matchup. A team from Florida, a team from Puerto Rico. Should be a lot of similarities here, Aaron. Yeah, and we had the opportunity to talk to both coaches before the match, and both said, this is our year, this is our year. Both have been in this position before, you know, with your opponent, the OT Red team. They have been in this position. They've actually walked away with the championship, and then your opponent hasn't had that national championship title yet. So it's going to be a good battle between these two teams. All right, let's take a look at the two rosters, star-studded groups from top to bottom. First for GEVA, take a look at players like Mariela Salgado. You also have Rodriguez, number 2, but number 3 and number 7, both outside hitters. Pizarro, Franco, and Alvarez, tremendous in their own right. And on the other side, you see Jose Fonseca getting his team ready to go. Coach was excited, enthusiastic, had a chance to talk to him just 10 minutes ago. He says defense is going to be the key to us taking a title here today. And for Rocks Red, you look at Brianna Anderson. That is the daughter of former Chicago Bears running back Neil Anderson. She is a force. Number 2, the outside hitter for Rocks Red. Also keep an eye on number 9, Bleeker, and 11, Anna Kate Harrington as well. And just such a big team on this OT Rocks Red side. They definitely have the height advantage going into this match. And Felix Rivera, one of the best coaches. We see him here year in and year out. And he preaches hard work and discipline to his team, even in just the warm-ups. Their warm-ups are very, very routine and very, very methodical. So he's a very disciplined coach. Coach Rivera, all smiles in the pregame as you get a look at Baez, Alexandra Baez. She'll be a key factor for GEVA. And Rocks Red, there's Brianna Anderson, number 2, the player we just talked about. Him. Loved the Chicago Bears back in the day with Walter Payton and Neil Anderson. So Brianna Anderson definitely going to get our attention for Rocks Red here today. Baez will serve it, and we're set to get underway. 13 Open Championship from the HP Fieldhouse. Rocks Red in the red, GEVA in the white. And the first kill is down. That's nicely done by Andrea Alvarez, the outside hitter. Our officials, Danny Woosley and Phil Meyer. Woosley will be on top, Meyer down on the court. Keep in mind, did have some critical calls in our last championship that nearly impacted the outcome. As that ball eventually drops, Rocks Red scrambling just a little bit defensively here. Rocks Red trying to get in system, and they do with Modric. Carter Modric, the middle blocker with the kill. And Modric was the first girl I saw on this OT Rocks Red team, and she's just towering over all of these players. Now, she's not even using the full arm swing there. She's actually taken a little bit of the speed off, but her height advantage creates those misfires and mistouches to just change that ball up. 3-1 service there as GEVA will have side out again as Alvarez will serve now. This team out of Guaynabo, Puerto Rico. That is in the northern part of Puerto Rico. Just a beautiful area. Big swing this time. This one's going to sail out as Camry Rife hit it a little too long.
And in the warm-ups, we actually saw them running a lot of these like transition plays, these crossing patterns, and I'm really excited to see how they leverage that. Rife just miscued it, didn't see the block in front of her, and had a misfire with her hand.
Anderson gets her first touch for Rocks Red. And now up against the net. This will be a point for the team in red, 4-2.
But Pizarro-Franco realizes that she does have the height disadvantage and goes to swing high on those hands. That's the shot that this Puerto Rican team has to continue to do throughout this match because there is such a size difference.
Baez sets it up nicely. Pizarro able to get a good touch. Get a look at Pizarro-Franco. Valadia, Pizarro-Franco, the outside hitter for GEVA. Can't dig that one. And that's Garcia Alicea, Alondra Garcia Alicea for GEVA.
And when talking with head coach Jose Fonseca, he was talking so much about his libero, Salgado, #1. He said that she is the leader of this backcourt. She really dictates the tempo, and just in that good pass, her team was able to execute a very well-run offensive play.
Nice touch that time by Modric. And so far, Aaron, not seeing much of a difference from the 12 and 13-year-olds. These players look a little bit, of course, bigger in size, but the tempo is very much the same, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as the match goes on, they're going to get more and more comfortable within what's going on. They're going to start reading their opponents a little bit better. So there's going to be a little bit more aggression in some of those switching patterns and more calls and more intensity. But I think these first few points, they're really just trying to figure each other out.
Saw Coach Vieira there. These two teams on center stage. Most of this arena is curtained off for this match. You see all the eyes on this court, and Rocks Red will take their first lead. Keep in mind, these teams throughout the week are playing in convention centers and also here at the Field House and at the Joslin Center, where you've got so many games going on at the same time. This one a little bit different as far as atmosphere because so many eyes are on you. Absolutely,
and it isolates. I mean, I think you're so used to being in one environment and then you come play here and it's a completely different one. And really to get the full effect of this, the mass of this tournament, you need to go spend a day at the convention center because it's crazy.
That ball's in and we're tied once again. It's a good diving try by Ana Julia Bleeker for Rocks Red.
And Alvarez, #7, is one of those players that Coach Jose Fonseca was talking about in our pre-game conversation. He said she's definitely one of those players that you have to keep an eye out for. She's super aggressive, so I'm curious to see how she does in the backcourt as she's playing defense.
Now coming in, Laura Caro. Also Samantha Schaefer enters for Rocks Red. Caro will go back to serve. Collazo, nice set. Pizarro-Franco taps it over. And now this is Anderson. Brianna Anderson still looking for her first big swing of this match. And it looks like an illegal hit this time. Rocks Red will have another point.
And I think I'm sensing a little bit of frustration from this GEVA team just because they're so used to being ahead. Coach Jose said that this is the team, this is the year, this is the group that we have that's ready for this. And it seems like they're starting off a little bit slower than what he would like them to be doing.
GEVA gets the touch, so a point for the team from Puerto Rico. Now it's Valeria Pizarro-Franco, one of the star outside hitters. Up against the antenna, able to avoid it. Salgado, #1, the libero, a key role here today, but that one's not coming back, is Rife with authority.
And And we saw Harrington really working on that connection in warm-ups. They were running the one and running those tempo sets just to get them warmed up, get them used to the tempo on this court, and seeing the advantage there. Really nice, good position up in front there, making a big swing.
Harrington gets it done for Rocks Red. So Harrington and Reif combining. Three-point edge, largest so far the match. Pizarro Franco gets it over.
Oh, great dig.
So does Torres. That was fabulous. And Anderson, first point of the match for Brianna Anderson.
And I love when teams utilize their back row attack in that play. That is a great pass. They didn't need to run the back row, but that one little hesitation in that block allowed her to have that seam open up, and she was able to crunch that ball through. So very, very smart setting choice.
Nice run for Rocks Red. They've off to the good start. Anderson, good dig back row. They go right back to her. Salgado returns the favor. Middle of the court. That's a good spot for Harrington. She looks really comfortable there, Aaron.
Absolutely, and is getting her feet to the ball every time, is really positioning herself well to make a play on that. And Reif is doing such a good job of fighting, get her feet set so she can make those plays. Sorry, Caro was a really, really great set and good connection between her and Harrington.
So a 5-point edge for Rocks Red. Timeout by GEVA. Felix Vieira, very calm, cool, and collected. See him here, seems like every single year. You know, there's always that fine line, Aaron. These players, of course, you want to play, you want to do great things for the team, you want to win for your teammates and for your coach and for yourself. You also want to get noticed.
Yeah.
A lot of these players are playing for college scholarships.
And what Coach Vieira was telling me before the match was that he already has 11 Division I schools that are calling on his team. I'm like, they're 13. They're 13. They should not. He's like, yeah, they have the size, they have the basic skill that these big college programs want.
Now the block party comes for GEVA. And this is going to be in, so a point for GEVA out of the timeout. And Aaron, you mentioned those scholarships, and yeah, these players are just 13 years old. Hard to believe it. And it kind of makes you wonder, how young is too young? And if you are one of the players, how young before you start to look at what school you want to go to? Because now it seems like the process begins so early.
Oh, for sure. And you know, the good thing is that the NCAA puts a lot of restrictions on how coaches can communicate with these players at this age, because they don't want them to be distracted by that. They still have so much more schooling and more social adaptation that they need to go through, that there are some barriers that they have to go through. But if I were 13 and Penn State was calling up on me, I'd be pretty pumped about it. So I wouldn't mind.
I guarantee you, Bleeker is going to be one of the players who's going to be playing college volleyball. That was a fabulous point for Anna Julia. Now Martin on the deck, and back row. This is Anderson again. I'm telling you, she is starting to really pick it up.
And we're kind of really starting to see what the differences are between these two teams. So we saw a point by GEVA hitting the ball into the block, and then the response, and then the all-around power that you have from somebody like Brianna Anderson, who's actually seen more kills out of the back row than the front, but still very, very impressive. But it's plays like this where I don't think that OT Rocks Red has had teams battle back from those block points. But here comes GEVA, who's just hanging in and keeping that rally going.
Alvarez puts it over. Rocks Red looking really strong. Salgado had no chance to return that. Marielle Salgado, tough little player on the other side for GEVA, but this one was coming 100 miles an hour.
And it was in the right position, but almost thought it looked like she thought the ball was going to change direction. But really good swing by Mogridge and getting on top of the ball, number 4 for OT Rocks Red. She's done such a good job being a good defensive player at the net, but adds that level of offense.
Now a 15-8 edge for the team from Florida. OT Rocks Red cruising here in game number 1. The front line for Rocks Red, just kind of sucking everything in right now. They're just on top of it. Anderson keeps it alive. Now Mobridge, they just can't handle her right now.
And the block, even though that they're not going to the ground, it has to be frustrating for this GEVA offense who's going up there taking really big swings and then the block being right there. Mobridge doing all that she can to keep that ball alive and get the kill with that left hand. And she's done such a good job as a blocker on the front row.
It's going to be a point, so net violation. And I think Bleecker knew it. When was the biggest year, Aaron, in your volleyball career when you saw improvement? Was it age 13 to 14, 14 to 15? When was that breakout year to where you knew I have a shot to play college volleyball and even to be a really good player at the next level?
Well, when people started telling me that I had a shot was like 8th grade. But when it finally dawned on me, it wasn't until my senior year when I signed my paperwork. So
hey, better late than never.
Yeah, you know, it's different because I still couldn't believe it until I actually signed my letter of intent. But yeah, no, 8th grade was when people started to tell me, they were like, you know, you actually are kind of good at this. Like, maybe you should pursue it with some intention. I was like, whatever, I'm still playing soccer too. So, but it depends on, it's very, very different for everybody, you know, especially if you're a one sport athlete, it's probably sooner than most.
17-9 here in game one. And another big point. That is Bleecker hammering away once again.
And Bleecker had hit into the block a few times because she didn't have that elbow nice and high. That last swing, even if she's floating through the air, that elbow was way above her ear. It was nice and high position, and she was able to snap it off the hands.
Now 9-point comfortable lead for Rocks Red. Here's Anderson playing out of the back row for just about all of this game, and that barely finds a spot inside the line.
You know it's a good play when everybody from your opponent's team is on the floor trying to make something out of it. Good swing by Anderson out of the back row, and great tip, but even better hustle by Salgado. And it's those points that your teammates see, oh my gosh, she is sacrificing her whole body. I really want to step up and play well for her.
Right now, Bleecker is like a buzzsaw, and that right arm like a whip. Timeout on the court. GEVA will talk it over once again, trailing by 9. This Rocks Red team dominant here in the first frame.
Using free ball. Get a B, right? Got middle, 52, and now you stay in 9. If you pass in the left back, you attack the ball in B, okay? If you pass in the middle or in the right, you attack the ball in pi, all right? No, no, no.
Hey, coach, a few words, but right now, why tinker with anything? Your team is rolling.
Yeah, and he's just telling them about opportunity he's seeing. Hey, if you're passing the ball, why don't you just stay there and take the swing or stay in that one rotation to capitalize on what the defense not adjusting to.
Pizarro Franco finally breaks the string for GEVA, trying to get the team in white back on track.
And that tends to happen, that teams start to tip if they can't hit around you. So the OT Rocks Red team needs to be really aware that those are going to be the shots that are coming next. Because they can't hit through or over, they're going to try to hit around and do some soft touches.
Oh, what a swing that time. And you are right, Aaron, when you said that the velocity would start to pick up, the cohesion. We're seeing it right now as Molina scores.
And there's more intention behind the ball. I think that they're putting the ball in places that they're not just like, okay, well, this is where I think I should go. It's actually, okay, we're reading the defense, we're seeing what's happening. This is where I want to set the ball because of this. There's more why, there's more of a why to what they're doing rather than just, oh, I think this is just what I should do.
Garcia Alicea heads out of the game for GEVA. And it's going to be Collazo serving. So the score corrected 20-12 here in the first frame. Danielle Colasso for GEVA puts it in the air. Anderson rises above. Another back row swing. Dug somehow. Alvarez kept it alive and Salgado put it over. Oh, nice point. Harrington finishes it.
And as this match has gone on, they've gotten way more comfortable. And I love that 3-2 combination with your right side being your bailout. So they have Harrington running that 3. They have Anderson coming in for that 2. And then Schaefer on the right-hand side, just in case they need to just put up a ball nice and high. They're running these really cool set plays, which is really challenging for a defense to read.
Laura Cairo will serve. Rock's red team made up of combo of Orlando players, Tampa players, and Gainesville players. This will be a point for GEVA. '44th AAU Girls Junior National Volleyball Championships. Drew Felios and Aaron Campbell. Hope you're enjoying it. Vaqueras won our first championship match of the day in the 12 Open. And their Puerto Rican counterparts struggling right now against the same Rocks Red program that has just brought too much firepower up to this point. All indications so far, this Puerto Rican team a little overpowered, Aaron.
Yeah, and I think that the size intimidation is a factor, and I just don't think that GEVA's found their rhythm. I know Coach Jose said that they were really ready and that their focus was there, but it just seems like they haven't been able to connect. They haven't put it all together. They've done little pieces here and there, but not the whole picture.
How about that shot by Anderson? Put just the right spin on it. This is big time.
Look how high she is above the net. Again, she is a 13-year-old, and she is just sailing high, has really good physicality, very, very explosive player, even out of the back row.
And that one just drops right in the middle of the court. So Rocks Red able to get it done in the first game, 25-13, unchallenged in our 13 Open Championship. Looking to take one more and the title when we come back to the ESPN Wide World of Sports 13 Open Championship game.
The ESPN Wide World of Sports complex at the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida has emerged as the pinnacle of youth tournament travel, catering to the needs of the entire family. We offer a complete line of solution-oriented products and services to address the complex needs of teams on the road and the team parents who support them. To find out how to achieve vacation victory, visit ESPNWWOS.com. Soccer is a second language at the ESPN Wide World of Sports complex, and we want your team to join in the conversation. Develop your skills with the help of international soccer superstars on one of the nation's biggest stages, all while enjoying an experience that only Disney can provide. To find out how you can play here, visit DisneySoccer.com.
Welcome back to Championship Sunday, ESPN Wide World of Sports and the HP Fieldhouse for the 44th AAU Junior National Volleyball Championship. Anna Kate Harrington leading the charge as Rocks Red overpowering GEVA in that first game.
And we really talked about what the size difference would be, and you talk about size, you talk about middles. And so far for this OT Rocks Red team, both Harrington and Mogridge have done an amazing job of controlling the net, being powerful offensively and defensively with their blocks. And Harrington really leading that charge for the first 2 points. Then you have Mogridge coming in and just playing great all the way around, finishing the ball, getting those first ball kills, and finding ways for her team to score.
Carter Mogridge, really a true middle that can dominate a contest. And when you got Harrington lining up next to her, that is awfully tough to stop. And keep in mind, Brianna Anderson also came on late in that first game. This 13 open team that Rox Red has put together could be one of the best that we've ever seen in this age group. 4 kills for Mogridge in that first game.
And I agree. I think just the size alone and then the understanding of what their roles are on the court, we're seeing that they're understanding their positions and what they need to do from an individual standpoint, more so than you would in any other team in this age group. You know, it's everybody doing their job specifically, making the whole team better, especially on this OT Rox Red side right now. And that's led by Coach Felix Vieira. I mean, he's just such a disciplined coach.
So Rox Red completely in control up to this point. On the other side, if you are GEVA, you haven't really had any explosive points, any real splash plays. Do you need a few of those, Aaron, to kind of get your confidence up a little bit?
Yeah, you just need a few plays where everything's working. You know, they're having a good pass, a good set, and then the attacker's footwork's not there. Or they've had a good pass and then the set wasn't there. They just need to connect all the pieces and get it all in one place and then string some points together.
Now from the back row, that's a good way to start. So Andrea Alvarez comes out hitting, the outside hitter for GEVA, scoring the first point.
And using the back row is a good way to combat the size of the net, because the front row is expecting that you're going to go to one of the pins, but you go to the back row and that only leaves one blocker.
Oh, how about that? Rising above.
Yeah,
by Bleeker, but it's going to be taken away.
Yeah, she was in the net. But, I mean, hopefully that's a lesson for GEVA. You cannot leave Bleeker, number 9 for this OT Rox Red team. You cannot leave her without a block in front of her, because she is going to unload.
GEVA looking for a little bit of momentum here out of the gates. Alexandra Baez serving, rattling off 2 in a row. Block party on that time, sending back Mogridge. Anderson, another good swing. Now it's Alvarez. Anderson kept alive, doing a lot of work right now is Aguina for GEVA along the front line, but Mogridge cleans that up quickly.
And it is just so nice to have a middle blocker or middle attacker that's always with your setter, because that, especially when the setter is front row, it helps so much to take the pressure off the outside. And in transition, they're going to get the majority of the points as long as they're with their setter and their feeder set.
See the kill numbers, 15-8, advantage Rox Red. And another block that time. 4 and 5, Mogridge and Rife teaming up.
And that's just a big block. I mean, Rife, she's the setter and the right side, but she's actually taller than her outside attacker, and you don't see that a lot in setters. They tend to be the shorter players on the court, but then that's that evolution in the sport that we're seeing, is that the taller the setter, the more effective the team running a 5-1 or that offense.
Little confusion. Rox Red still able to get it over. Now a big swing as Aguina was along that front line, and she made it happen that time.
And just cuts it right through that seam. Aguina actually was going to try to crunch that shot to the right, but Bleeker was there and at the last second changed it to the seam.
Saw what Aguina did with that shot. That was impressive as an ace serve follows. But Aaron, when you are undersized like this GEVA team is, and you're hitting against players that are bigger than you and they got their hands up, what tactic do you try and use to try and hit through that block?
Hit their fingertips. Hit it high off their hands, because if it touches their hands and it sails to the back where you see that HP black, that scrim that's right there or whatever, that big curtain, if it goes off their hands and hits that, who's going to get that ball? Nobody. That's the perfect play for a smaller team.
Good point. Here's Aguina, and you see Aguina starting to gain some confidence. Again, she is outsized, but just as you said, Aaron, looking for the fingertips, and she does it right there.
And usually with a disciplined team like OT Rox Red, they don't let those little plays happen, but if you're losing discipline in your feet and not closing that block, those touches are going to happen.
Now Anderson Her hit sails long, so GEVA has put together a nice string here, and it continues. Roxred knew that they were going to get a run out of this team from Puerto Rico, and they're getting just that. And we're going to take a timeout. So Roxred down by 4 here in the second game. Coach Jose Fonseca. Let's listen in.
Vamos a sorprender con el 3 y el 2. Bolas rápidas que salgan free ball, vamos a salir rápido. Porque van a estar esperando que Valeria sea el que ataque la pelota, porque vamos a buscar a Valeria. Ya están parando el central allá, al lado allá, para que ataque, para que marque a ella. Y la 4 es media lenta para llegar. Ella, si la bola para el 4 salió, pero ustedes tienen que estar ready las dos también.
¿Tengo que ir por ahí o por allá?
Sale por acá.
Pues va a hacer ahora.
Sí. Vamos a ver.
¿Esto significa eso, ¿no?
Bueno, no sé.
Well, Coach Fonseca, the discussion in the huddle. Our translator, Rafael, in our control room, says that he was talking about free balls, playing those free balls and really making them pay.
Yeah, and using them as opportunities of execution. They're almost like, you call them free for a reason. Take advantage of them. They're almost like a training, like what you would do in practice and in training. So you want to make sure you're capitalizing on all of those free ball opportunities.
6-2 edge now. Molina out of bounds. Anderson puts it over for Salgado. Here's Pizarro, Franco, and there's another.
That's the perfect shot. See how there's no way that any player can get on top of it. It still has momentum. That is the perfect shot by Valeria over that block's hands. I mean, it's a big block, and she didn't even finish her swing. She kept it high. It was almost like she's going for the rafters on that play. That's where smaller teams have the advantage.
Finally, Roxred answers.
And now you have Brianna Anderson coming in the front row for OT Roxred. You have 3 attackers in the front row. Then you also have Bleeker coming out of the back row. So you actually have a 4th attacking option that most teams don't have because they hit so effectively out of the middle back.
Bleeker from the back row. Nice dig by Salgado. Salgado does so much of the dirty work on this GEVA team. Here's Anderson.
And from our position, that doesn't even look like she put effort into that ball yet. It was hit so aggressively that it goes off the defender's hands. Just effortlessly athletic, Brianna Anderson on the outside. She just makes it look so easy, but she hits the ball so hard.
Have a feeling we have not nearly seen the best from Brianna Anderson up to this point. Mogridge in. So Anderson and Mogridge sparking Roxred in the comeback.
And Mogridge does such a good job of just that elbow wrist snap. She gets on top of that ball and finishes it with the elbow wrist snap. Middle attacks and outside attacks actually have different arm swings, and Mogridge's out of the middle is pretty textbook.
Big block for Roxred. Mogridge again, so she's got 5 kills, just registered the block there, and slowly the size starting to take over the match again.
And showed really, really late on that block too, so it actually made the attacker, number 6, Garcia Alicia, think that she had a seam, and then all of a sudden here comes Mogridge with the hands right in front.
So back and forth here in the second game at the HP Fieldhouse. This is the second of 3 games here today on this championship Sunday. Also back here on Thursday. It's going to be another fabulous day. And then in 8 days on Monday the 26th, we'll be here as well. But this is the place to be this time of year. ESPN3 at the AAU Junior National Volleyball Championships. There's your menu of upcoming matches. June 22nd, that's Thursday, 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, 15-year-olds and 17-year-olds. And then that final day, we got international volleyball. We got the 18-year-olds. I love seeing Molly Haggerty year after year dominate this competition. And we're going to see some other big-time players in the coming days ahead. So GEVA Here's Anderson for Rocks Red. Alvarez with the dig, and now Pizarro. One of the longer points of the match thus far. Anderson the touch.
And when rallies go on, outside hitters tend to get more opportunities to swing. So you have to be able to read what the defense is doing and then adjust, even just in that rally, even in that play. So very heads-up play by Brianna Anderson to tip that ball down the line.
Tied at 7. So the early edge for GEVA has been evaporated. And now the first lead of this second frame for Rocks Red.
And Garcia Alicia actually had the right idea to go tip, but because this team, this OT Rocks Red team, is so tall, it almost makes you overthink the tip a little bit. You have to place it perfectly, and then it results in an error.
Now from the back row, it goes long. So this is 7 points in a row by Rocks Red. This is one of the longest runs we've seen so far today. Can they keep it going? Not this time. Still, you get the sense Rocks Red has the unit they want at this point in the match.
And not many service errors. That's the second service error of the match for both teams. So very disciplined behind the service line. And especially when you have a tight set like this, you want to make sure you're not giving away any free points, especially to an OT Rocks Red team.
Madison Martin serve, too hot to handle. Drops right in the middle of the court. And now it's 11-8 just like that. GEVA players kind of looking at each other here, hoping somebody can come up with a big sequence of plays. Molina, Anderson again, now Baez, the set, Pizarro, Franco, the finish.
And pulled a triple block on her. That just shows how much respect this OT Rocks Red team has for their opponent's attack by setting up those 3 attackers and then just expecting the defense to make a play, and even better response by the attacker to get that kill.
Collazo. Good job by Rife to get under that one. Collazo again goes right this time, and this one does get the line, so it'll be a point for GEVA, and we're going to be tied at 11.
And number 3, Pizarro Franco, was the go-to player for this GEVA team in that first set. They tried to force the ball to her as much as possible, and she's responded very well. That was a very on-the-line play. You can't make that shot twice, but wow, that was a great shot.
So now Franco with 5 kills for GEVA. And a 1-point game right now. Make it a 2-point game as Rocks Red able to score again. So Caro will go back to serve for the team from Florida. Keep in mind this Rocks Red program was beaten in the 12 Open by Vaquetas, another team from Puerto Rico. So perhaps Rocks Red with a little score to settle here. Anytime you watch one of the other teams in your club go down, they're playing with a vengeance right now. That one kept alive. Joust at the net, won by GEVA, but still Rocks Red not letting it hit the floor.
Oh, they're going to call 4 hits on that play.
You see Harrington look at the official and just shake her head. No. And Felix Vieira doesn't believe it either. Coach Jose Fonseca, he is assisted by Jerry Orsini and Jacqueline Montilla.
Looks like the officials are going to talk it over between themselves. It's hard to keep track sometimes because that block, now it depends on where your feet are. If you touch the ball and your hands are below, you know, there's so many weird obscure rules that can change. So it's like, okay, what is the block doing? Did the ball come down? Did she make that touch twice? Was she on the ground technically not blocking for that 4th touch? It's always challenging.
So many moments, controversial moments in this sport, Aaron. We saw instant replay implemented into the college game.
Yeah. I think that, I don't know. I always think instant replay takes the fun out of it. I mean, even in baseball, it's like, okay, well, that's kind of the point, right? Like, that you have to be able to respond to the speed of the game, and that's why the officials are so important. It almost makes, you know, your first base official kind of irrelevant, right? You know, so, you know, you have to trust in the ability of the officials to know the game and be educated in how the game is played to maintain the control of the match.
Sort of takes the human element out just a bit.
I think so too.
You know, I think a lot of people feel the way you do until their team loses a game.
I know, you're right.
Loses a match in the final set.
Oh, you are so right.
Like Florida did a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
Team's going at it now. Harrington tapped it over. Now attacking from the right. How about the block by Anderson?
And actually, GEVA has avoided attacking against Anderson because they know how athletic she is. Look at how high and pressed over the net she is. There's nothing that's gonna, you can't hit the ball high enough off the hands. Nothing's gonna make it through that. Just such a physical player.
Pizarro Franco keeps it alive. Alvarez. Anderson, so good hitting out of that back row. This one also into the net as GEVA's just starting to run out of juice here, 14-11.
And it seems like it's every time that they do something good, they're not like being excited about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, okay, well, I guess that was a good thing. And then there's no fluctuation in emotion. They need to have volleyball is a very emotional game. They need to have just like a smile or something after something good, because it's almost sucking away. It's like defeating almost, you know? But when you have a big block like this, you know, how do you balance? How do you react to that? How do you come out of that when it's so challenging?
And it makes withstanding runs like this all the more difficult. Now 16-11. Coaches in every sport say body language is huge.
Oh, I agree.
And right now it is all on the side of Rocks Red.
And they just seem more in it overall.
Close the antenna, like close a little behind, just open how many feet? 2, okay? Don't forget, go back to inside. It's the ball, it's into the antenna, now you close line, all right?
If you get a good set, you can hit it.
Okay, that's the attitude different. The ball right now can touch the ground. All right?
9 point, maybe 9 point.
Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go.
OTVA, a program that is slowly growing, expanding their reach, getting players now from literally all over the state, combining Orlando, Gainesville, and Tampa.
And you know, at what point does it become almost too big? You know, you got to ask that question. But you see clubs out of California that are probably triple the size of what OTR. You know, so it's interesting to see. And what it's really doing is it's like brand awareness for these athletes. If a college coach sees that that you play for OT, they know automatically that there's a different level of athlete that's in that program.
Into the net this time from Anderson, side out for GEVA. Fonseca. Does it pretty much all depend on how far are these teams willing to drive and willing to come and play for the centralized location? Yeah,
I think so. And I think it comes to a point where it's almost like, okay, does it take the quality away from it? You know, now we talk about brand awareness. Like, is there a point where it's going to become where it's like, okay, well, obviously they're the biggest club. Like, what is the actual quality of it? And so, you know, I think what's really good about it is that they're spreading high competitive volleyball all across the state of Florida, and it's providing more opportunities for girls to play.
That'll be a point for GEVA as it barely grazed the line. Coach Vieira wants to shut the door right now. They do not want GEVA to take this to a third game. GEVA serving, trailing by 4. Salgado the jump serve. And that's a good one. Tell you what, this girl right here, Marielys Salgado, she is a tough cookie.
Yeah. She is really leading just the charge and everything. You know, she is sacrificing her body for the plays. She's going back to the service line, taking a big rip on a jump serve. Just puts the pressure on.
Bleeker, one of the many kills she's had here this afternoon. She's been the best offensive force for Rocks Red. Her along with Harrington have been really tough to keep in check.
Yeah, especially when they're in the front row together. They're just a lethal combo of offense. And she's actually Bleeker's had a lot of success going off the hands of her defensive pins or her defensive hands and really making some good kills out of that.
Teams now trading points. GEVA with one more, and now substitutions for the Puerto Ricans.
Like they're 3 points away, and you just feel like, you know, they don't sense that they're right there, you know. But they're playing tough. They're playing good defense, and they're serving tough against this OT Rocks Red team.
Not much bounce in the step though, and Mogridge has just been consistent and steady all day long. Is now Rocks Red a point away from 20. That's the 6th kill from the middle blocker, Carter Mogridge. Brianna Anderson. Concentration has not been broken here yet. Ace serve, and it's 20-15.
And 4th service ace of the match, definitely coming in at a critical point. There was that opportunity with a 2-point swing that GEVA could get right back in, but now as you get closer to that 20-25 point mark, it's harder for teams to battle back.
Collazo able to get it done. Right here, right now is where GEVA needs to go on a run. Cannot surrender any more to this Rocks Red team. It's been a long road to this championship for both of these teams. Right now, Rocks Red looking a little bit more seasoned and a little bit more talented.
And just even the response from that, Brianna Anderson didn't have the best pass out of the back row, but off of a bump set, Bleeker's able to come in and take a really aggressive swing. It's that aggressiveness and that awareness, like athletic awareness, that really is setting these two teams apart.
Baez scrambling. That ball sent back. And this one's gonna sail out. Fanfare. These fans are great for Rocks Red. All of them sitting right next to the court, into every single point. Parents, relatives of these great players, hoping to stay along for the ride to a championship. Pizarro Franco. Here's Anderson. Pizarro backpedaling that time. Pushes it over. Mogridge hits it long. Alexander Baez. She has also been playing tough. She has taken Rocks Red's best punches coming up to this point.
And she's the one that's really just trying to inspire this team, get some emotion out of them as this match goes on. She's the one that believes the most, you know, and she's clapping her hands and trying to get her team on board.
Into the net by Anderson, and now the lead is 4. In volleyball, is it the legs that starts to go late? Is it the enthusiasm? What is it, Aaron, that kind of saps a team?
Overall fatigue. I mean, you and I said, we were talking about this before the match even started, is that like we're so inundated because the sport is like you have to be involved in it and you have to be on all the time. That's the same for the players. And then they're adding the level of like actually having to play it on top of that. And we're sitting here complaining because we have to talk about it, but that you have to be, they're playing and their legs are getting tired, and this is the last day of a 4-day tournament. So there's a lot of fatigue that comes in.
So Baez, her team, just 2 points away from having to settle for a runner-up here. Madison Martin back to serve for Rocks Red. This would be a big win for OTVA. And this one is hit wide. Match point
looks like
coming
there was a
up.
touch. Someone called a touch.
And they will call a touch. Coach Vieira again. His team has not been able to get a call here today.
It's hard to tell from that angle if it did come off the hands. We'll check this angle out and see if it hit off of Harrington's hand. Doesn't look like it did. Ball didn't change direction at all. It didn't change spin direction at all. Just an unlucky break. Still 2 points to work with. You know, still have that 2-point barrier.
With Collazo serving. Oh, tough time for a service error. (24-19). And Rocks Red looking to close this one out. And the energy all of a sudden kind of picks up at the HP Fieldhouse. One more, just one more. Caro will serve. This will be Anderson. And she will put it away for Rocks Red. OTVA will win the 13 Open Championship. There you see the staff of Rocks Red. Coach Charlie Anderson, Cynthia Ortega, Felix Vieira, Yvonne Devlin, also Robert Kreis, along with this fabulous team. This is one heck of a collection of athletes.
Oh, for sure. And the fact that they have so many collegiate programs already on the hunt for these players, not just because of their height, not just because of their overall athleticism, but for their ability to play and execute the game of volleyball. I mean, that 25-19 wasn't a good dictation of how good this team was today. They played very, very well all around, and I know Coach Felix Vieira is happy. This is the second year in a row he's in the final, and I'm so happy he walks away with the championship today.
What a team. Let's take a look at some of the final numbers. Rocks Red and GEVA Fonseca. They don't just win, they win with class, they win with style. And this team just came here today and took care of business. Look at the kill story, 25-16, but also blocks defensively. They really dominated.
And it's not even just the blocking that ended up in a kill. It's just the blocking that the opponent didn't have opportunities to get that kill. So very, very big presence at the front of the net, and then obviously kills. That's your biggest point generator. You have to get more of those throughout the match.
So 13 Open final is in the books. The championship goes to Rocks Red, the team out of Florida, as the 44th AAU Junior National Volleyball Championships roll on. Straight sets for Rocks Red, and we've got more volleyball coming up later today. For Aaron Campbell and our entire crew here at the ESPN Wide World of Sports, I'm Drew Felios. We'll see ya at 6:30 for more volleyball from the Walt Disney World Resort.